Coming up on this week's Falcon Fever.
Basketball season is officially here. We've got highlights from both teams' exhibition matches.
Plus, the women's volleyball team is flying high on their way to the postseason. Find out how they fared on their last road trip.
And both the men's and women's soccer teams fought their way into the postseason. We'll catch up with both squads on their bids for the PBC title. Falcon Fever starts now.
Hello and welcome to Falcon Fever. I'm Sloan Gibby.
And I'm Devin Cooley. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get the ball rolling with some basketball news. Basketball season is upon us, and this week both the Falcons teams began exhibition play.
The men and women's team are hoping to improve on last season's impressive finishes.
Both teams opened up the preseason on the road against Division I opponents in exhibition matches. The men's team traveled up to Kentucky to take on the #1 team in the nation on Monday night. The Falcons took the court at historic Rupp Arena. The game was nationally televised on Fox Sports Network, and Montevallo hoped to shine in the spotlight. With more than 20,000 fans packing the stands to see John Calipari's Wildcats in action, Coach Danny Young's Falcons opened up the game with an impressive 9-2 run. But Kentucky climbed back ahead later in the first half and never let the Falcons take over again. Junior Teran Brown led the Falcons with 30 points, just 1 point shy of his personal record, while juniors Alexis Collier and Shaquem Jackson each posted 11 points. Jackson added 7 rebounds, and fellow junior DeJuan Cooper scored 9 points and 5 rebounds. The Falcons trailed by 11 at halftime and eventually lost the game 95-72. The Falcons played hard all game long and looked strong against the top team in the nation. But 2 of the Falcons' 72 points came from what has to be one of the luckiest shots ever made in college basketball. Take a look. In the second half, UM's Teran Brown goes up for the shot, but he gets blocked. That's when Kentucky's James Young tries to save the ball from going out of bounds. Young tosses the ball behind his back and straight into the basket to give Montevallo 2 points. Even though he was behind the arc, the lucky shot only gave Montevallo 2 points. This clip has been replayed on numerous stations across the country and even featured on the Today Show. As you can hear, everyone in Rupp Arena went wild when the shot went in. Out of all the fans that couldn't believe that amazing shot, Montevallo's president, Dr. John Stewart, saw from up close from the sidelines, and he couldn't contain his excitement. Look carefully. You can see Dr. Stewart celebrating in the picture right behind James Young, just moments after the ball swished through the net. Joining us now to comment on how the Falcons fared against the Wildcats is our basketball analyst, Dan Cook. So Dan, what did you think of the Falcons' performance against Kentucky?
Well, honestly, they did a great job. I mean, #1 team in the nation, Kentucky Wildcats in Division I, one of the most storied programs in college basketball history. And Montevallo goes in there down by 11 at half. And, in the second half, they came within 10 points before garbage time kicked in. And, of course, Kentucky pulled away by 23. In that game, several players we didn't play. Silas Mills was limited in action. Ryan May got hurt in the first half. And still have others that didn't even play at all. So, I think it was a pretty good showing, and Teran Brown, 30 points against Kentucky is not a small feat. Even if it was about 40% shooting, he still did a great job. So I think it looked great for Montevallo. I think Montevallo is putting the PBC on notice, and, it's going to happen.
I think so, too. What did you see in the Falcons that they really need to work on from here on out?
Well, I think, if they drive a little more into the lane, try to draw a foul or something like that, get a little bit easier shots instead of settling for jump shots, better shot selection, which goes along with that, free throws, and to get others involved and play consistent from half to half. In the first half, they played a little bit better in terms of shooting than they did in the second half. And, hey, PBC has Montevallo ranked to finish #2 in the Peach Belt Conference and #1 in the West. And, of course, the only one team that's ranked higher than them is USC Aiken, who's ranked #4 in the nation in the top 25. So,
looking good from here on out for the Falcons. Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
For more information about the exhibition game at Kentucky, including photos and player stats, check out our Facebook page. Now let's head over to Sloan.
Thanks, Devin. All eyes may have been on the men up in Kentucky, but UM's women's basketball team was also back in action Monday night. Head coach Cindy Hilbrick and her Fighting Falcons traveled just up the road to Birmingham to take on Division I opponent Samford University in a preseason exhibition match. Montevallo started quickly, taking a 7-2 lead, but Sanford answered with a 10-2 run and never looked back. Junior Taylor Beverly led the Falcons with 19 points and 6 rebounds. Sophomore Jacqueline Thompson scored 10 points, and fellow sophomore Jasmine Thomas posted 4 points. The Falcons would fall to the Bulldogs 70-40, but fought hard all game long. The preseason doesn't last long for the Falcons. The men's team opens up their season here at home Saturday, November 9th, hosting West Florida. The Falcons then host West Alabama on November 15th. Meanwhile, the women's team will hit the road to take on Shorter University on the 13th before returning to UM for their home opener against UAH on the 16th. Remember, if you can't make it to the games in person, UM MassCom students will be streaming all the home basketball action live from Trustmark Arena on MontevallowFalcons.com. With the regular season just a few days away, both basketball teams are making sure each player on the court is at the top of their game.
Falcon Fever's Raisha Albright caught up with junior Ryan May to find out what it's like to be a point guard at UM and how he relies on his team to help visualize the court.
I'm Ryan May, starting guard at University of Montevallo, number 22. I guess it defines the ultimate role of being a leader. I mean, whenever your back's down, everybody looks up to you to bring them back up. You're pretty much the anchor of the ship. And you just gotta be able to face adversity and lift your team back up. Well, I like to facilitate the ball up, coming off ball screens, reading the big man playing my big man. I love attacking the middle of the paint, getting easy buckets, layups. Ram Brown, flat out, get a bucket whenever he wants to, so I'm always looking to pitch ahead of him if he's open. My freshman year, we went to the national championship game, and I can't really tell you how that feeling really felt, because it's kind of indescribable, but that's where I want to get back to at the end of the day.
Switching gears now to soccer news. The Montevallo women's soccer team came into Wednesday night's matchup with the Columbus State Cougars, having earned at least 1 point in 4 straight matches. The Falcons played tough wire to wire, backed by Paige Scott's 6th goal of her senior year, but the Cougars' offense was too much, as Columbus State won 2-1. Both teams then traveled to Young Harris on last Saturday for their last regular season games of the season. The women's team battled Young Harris to the wire, managing to win 2-1 and secure their spot in the PBC tournament. The final game of the regular season for the Montevallo men's soccer team took place on Saturday. The men traveled to Young Harris to take on the Mountain Lions, who won the PBC regular season title. Montevallo hung in with Young Harris all afternoon, but were unable to come away with a victory. In the end, the Mountain Lions defeated the Falcons 3-2. The men's team kicked off their Peach Belt title chase first, beating the Lander Bearcats 2-1 in overtime. After a defensive battle, junior Kyle Stuller fired a shot just over the fingertips of Lander University goalkeeper Barrett Nielsen, and off the crossbar for a game-winning goal in the 5th minute of overtime to give the Falcons a 2-1 win over the Bearcats in the Peach Belt Conference quarterfinal match on November 5th. The women's team fought hard against Clayton State in their first-round matchup, but fell to the Lakers after their double overtime match went to a shootout. The men's team will be gearing up for their second-round match against the Flagler Saints in Evans, Georgia on Friday.
Let's switch gears to volleyball. The volleyball team had a tough week as they hit the road to take on the top 2 ranked teams in the conference, Armstrong and Flagler. Last Friday, the Falcons fell 3-0 to undefeated Flagler. Senior Monty Oddie led Montevallo with 12 kills, and sophomore Brianna Marquez got 5 digs along with a team-high 21 assists. Senior Kaleigh Harvey led the team in digs, finishing with 17. The Falcons then traveled to St. Augustine, Florida to take on Flagler, which is currently ranked number 2 in the PBC. The Falcons lost the match 3-1. Leading Montevallo in kills were Michelle Carl and junior Katie Bess with 9 each. Brianna Marquez recorded her 8th double-double of the season. Kaleigh Harvey led the Falcons with 30 digs. The Falcons will return to action Friday, November 8th at home against PBC rival USC Aiken at 6. Then on Saturday, which is senior day, the team will take on Lander at 12:30 and then face off against Clark Atlanta at 4:30. And now it's time to highlight our Falcon Fever Player of the Week.
Our own Sydney Fields is here to introduce us to this week's featured Falcon athlete.
Kaleigh Harvey is a senior from Katy, Texas, and her position is the libero and defensive specialist. Last year, Kaleigh was named a Gold Scholar on the Peach Belt Conference presidential role, and earlier this season, Kaleigh was named the PBC Women's Volleyball Specialist of the Week. This was Kaleigh's first time to earn this, and she is also the first Montevallo player to be named this since 2011. I got to meet up with Kaleigh yesterday and talk to her about her recent achievements. Kaleigh, how long have you been playing volleyball?
I've been playing volleyball since 7th grade.
And what got you interested in the sport of volleyball?
I was really athletic as a kid, and all my friends were trying out for volleyball, so I decided to try out for volleyball, and since then I've kind of been addicted and just loved it since.
What brought you to Montevallo to play volleyball?
I actually have a friend, Michelle Carl, on the team, and we played volleyball for 7 years together, and I played at a different college first, but transferred here because of her. So I came for Michelle Carl.
And last month you were named PBC's Women's Volleyball Specialist of the Week, and when you heard that you had gotten this award, what were your thoughts?
I was more than excited because I've been working really hard this year, and being a senior, it really was a big accomplishment for my career.
And earlier in the season, you recorded your 1,000th dig, and on the sidelines, your teammates were holding up signs that said 1,000th dig. When you saw that, what were your thoughts?
At first, I had no idea that I actually had my 1,000th career dig. So when everyone was trying to get my attention to look to the bench, and seeing my teammates just really felt good knowing that they were there supporting me.
And looking back on the season, how did you schedule your time out to where you could study, but still you would practice and go on the road for games?
It actually takes a lot of discipline because, especially after practice, being exhausted, but you just have to put in the time and dedication, and really putting that extra effort makes a big difference being a student athlete.
And you're a senior and you're majoring in kinesiology. What are your plans after you graduate in May?
I would like to go into nursing, so currently I'm applying at nursing schools back home in Texas.
Thanks for coming out and interviewing with me. I wish you a great rest of the season. Congratulations again, Kaleigh Harvey, Falcon Fever's Player of the Week.
Thank you.
If you would like to suggest a Player of the Week, let us know by contacting us through our social media. Good luck on the rest of the season, and congratulations, Kaleigh Harvey, our Falcon Fever Player of the Week.
Now it's time for our Falcon Fever Fan of the Week.
This week's fan is Rachel Ingram.
Rachel is a UM student who traveled Monday to Kentucky to support the men's basketball team. She has attended many sporting events during her time at Montevallo, and she has been a true asset as a fan. Thanks again, Rachel, for contributing to the athletic department's success. If you know of anyone you would like to nominate as fan, give us a shout out on our Facebook page. Remember, you can catch more Falcon Fever on YouTube and on social media.
To see current and past episodes of Falcon Fever, including extended interviews with players and coaches, just go to YouTube and subscribe to the Montevallo For You channel.
You can also friend us on Facebook to see more sports stories and pictures from various UM sporting events. And if you go to a Falcons game, take a picture and tag us in it on Facebook, and we'll share it with the rest of our Falcon Fever viewers, and we just might feature it on next week's show.
Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest Falcons news and tweets from your favorite UM athletes. Just search for @UMFalconFever.
You can also get more pictures and video on Instagram. Just search for UM Falcon Fever.
And last but not least, you can get extended sports coverage on MontevalloFalcons.com. There you'll find schedules, team rosters, live stats, and more. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's show.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week.